I was just watching Get Hard with my nephew, right? Guys, and real funny movie, man. And recently I heard something about Kevin Hart saying that he's the greatest celebrity basketball player of all time. I think he's won, during the All-Star break when they had the celebrity basketball game, I think he's won the MVP award 4 times. And reading about how he's filming a movie right now in the Bronx called Untouchable or something like that. And it got me to thinking, man, I wanted to wait, because I started thinking this a couple of years ago, but I wanted to wait to make this video, and it feels about right. And I want to say something that a lot of people are not going to agree with, but I'm starting to believe that when everything is said and done with this man's career, and maybe not even everything's said and done, maybe a couple of years from now, I think that Kevin Hart will go down in comedy history as something equivalent to the Floyd Mayweather of comedy, in particular when it comes to black comedians. And I say this by this, and let me explain my viewpoint before you start attacking me saying, no, Richard Pryor, yada, yada, yada. And listen to me, because I sense a lot of times that you guys don't listen to what I'm saying. You hear something you don't like. Oh, well, how could he say that? But then you don't listen to what I say afterward. Okay? Listen to me. I am not saying Kevin Hart is the greatest comedian of all time. I still think the greatest comedian of all time is Richard Pryor. Okay? When it comes to black comedies, black comics, Kevin Hart is not on my Mount Rushmore, so to speak. That would be Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Red Fox. Oh, boy. And maybe the fourth pick is the toughest one. Maybe, I don't know. I can't say Robin Harris because he wasn't out there long enough. Maybe a Bernie Mac. Okay, maybe a Bernie Mac or somebody like that. But Kevin Hart, to me, may go down as the equivalent of a Floyd Mayweather of comedy when it comes to the fact that he might end up being the most financially successful black comic of all time. And also, and when I say this is because I was looking at some of his earnings, and in 2015, through his sheer hard work, he earned $30 million that particular year. And he tripled that the very next year, which was last year, and he earned $90 million. And I see that he's worth about $145 million or so. And this is a guy who isn't some flash in the pan. This isn't some guy who all of a sudden, just been appearing. I've seen Kevin Hart in movies ever since I was in my early 20s. B-list comedies, small little roles, small cameos. I've seen him in so many different movies. And he's worked very hard to get to where he is now. And what I appreciate about Kevin Hart personally is not only the fact that he worked hard, he got to where he is, right? He saw his opportunities. I say about a good 7-8 years ago, he started getting bigger roles. And and I have to say this, unlike a Chris Rock, who I feel is one of the greatest comics of all time, top 10 black comics, for sure. But when it comes to mainstream success, while he did have that very good show on HBO, which predated Real Time with Bill Maher back in the late 90s and very early 2000s, his movie selections and movie choices have been abysmal at times. Some of the movie roles that he's chosen have been very poor from a Chris Rock. Kevin Hart has been very smart about the roles that he's picked. Now, some people will consider it selling out. I don't see it that way, because you become a comic ultimately to gain success. Yes, he's a comic because he wants to be funny. He wants to be noted for that. But you also want to be successful. Nobody wants to be a comedian and not successful. You know what I'm saying? And he realized that to make it in comedy, he would have to headline with bigger names, mainstream names, and yeah, at times he was with white actors. But he's always stayed true to his core audience. He's always been able to bring the audience that he's already had and earn a broader audience. And his style of comedy is very broad based. It appeals to so many different individuals. To me, if I had to compare him to a white old time comedian, like his comedy style, I know a lot of this might seem odd to some people, but he kind of reminds me a little bit of Stan Laurel. All right, and you have to be a real fan of comedy or a little bit older, 50 plus years old or something like that, to really understand why I make that comparison. Stan Laurel was probably, of course he was with Laurel and Hardy, but he was one of the best comics, I say, as far as reacting and his ability to play to the camera when he was in films or with those shorts with Oliver Hardy or whatever. But anyway, I think Kevin Hart is just a very naturally funny person. He delivers his lines and says things in a certain way that other comics can't quite capture. And also, unlike a Chris Tucker, who was the hot comedian back in 2001, 2002, he wasn't able to sustain it because, in my opinion, at least from what I could see, it's like Chris Tucker got a little lazy. You know what I'm saying? Like in the late 90s, Chris Tucker was in everything. Boom, House Party 3, Dead Presidents, Jackie Brown, Money Talks, okay, Rush Hour. Okay, I'm forgetting some other movies that he was doing. But for a while, Fifth Element. He was in everything for a while. And then when he got Rush Hour, it's like he just sort of banked on that because he made so much money off of the first Rush Hour that he started commanding $20 million a movie. But then he got lazy. And Kevin Hart, then, all of a sudden, by the time, he got lazy, gained like 60 pounds or whatever. And, then all of a sudden he just became inactive. And then, your fans will forget you and move on. And that's why Chris Tucker, while he is one of the best black comics of all time, he never quite reached his true potential, in my opinion. Kevin Hart realizes that he has a shelf life. There's a particular time where you're very hot, and that's why he's out there now making so many different movies and being active. And I respect that because I think when you're active like that, he sort of reminds me of Samuel. Right now, like I say, he's filming a movie. He's going to be in a remake of Jumanji this year. He's going to be in Ride Along 3 with Ice Cube, which is a successful franchise going on. I hope he's able to do some more movies with Will Ferrell soon. He's just a tremendous comic, like I said. And I also noticed, too, and I'll say this in conclusion, guys, he gets a lot of hate from some of his fellow comics. In particular, I remember hearing something that Mike Epps said, saying that, Kevin Hart has ghostwriters that write his material and he's not original, he's overrated, he's not all that funny. And my thing about Mike Epps is, it's just my opinion, I think Kevin Hart is a naturally funnier guy than Mike Epps. Mike Epps is funny, ha-ha. At times he can make you bawl and laugh. Well, me at least. It's just me. But Kevin Hart can make a line that wasn't even particularly meant to be funny. Funny. Like, I was just thinking about, just like I said, I just seen the movie just now, Get Hard, and Will Ferrell's character and Kevin Hart's character were talking about going to his cousin's house and trying to get protection for Will Ferrell's character, and he was like, and you know, you know what it's gonna have to do, right? And he was like, going blackface. He was like, the fuck did you just say? Like, you know, the way he said it, right? Like his reaction to it, like the way he delivered it is some people have it and some people don't, right? And a lot of comics, they don't quite have the ability to deliver lines in a very funny manner, you know, as some other people do. But like I said, I think that Kevin Hart is on his way, in my opinion, to being the most successful black comic of all time in terms of financial success. Okay? Now, I'm not saying he's the funniest. I'm not saying he's the greatest. Like I said, in my opinion, the greatest black comics of all time, like I said, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Red Fox, Bernie Mac, Robin Harris. I have to throw in a Dick Gregory too. Okay, Chris Rock, Martin Lawrence. Okay, you know, you get what I'm going with that. He's not there yet, Kevin Hart, in that top 10, or even to me in that top 15. But when it comes to financial success, he's right there. As a matter of fact, I may even change the title of the video to saying he's the Jay-Z of black comedy. I might put that instead of Floyd Mayweather. I might say that because then I think that it would be a little bit more accurate, because most people don't recognize Jay-Z as the greatest rapper, but he's seen, generally speaking, as the most successful. So I think I might say something like that. I'll decide it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But tell me what you guys think about this topic.